in yet another edition of the Taxes Are Not Theft series. Making a bit of a playlist of it. Check out that playlist if you haven't already. This particular video is about the idea, you've heard it if you've been on the political interwebs for more than 10 minutes, you know, from these typically far right leaning economic people, you know, ANCAPers, far right libertarians, shit like that. And strangely enough, even some far left anarcho-communists or anarcho-syndicalists make the claim, you know, taxes. But anyway, one of the points he tried to bring up is that they didn't agree to pay taxes, like they didn't sign a contract and they didn't consent, and their consent is in this matter is is really important, you know, or at least they say, oh, well, since I didn't agree, I don't have to pay, right? So why wouldn't you? You know, the way I'd push back on that is to say, well, you know, because I made the point before that if it wasn't for the tax-funded economic infrastructure, people wouldn't be as able to be as monetarily gainful as they are now. I mean, if you can compare, say, Somalia, which has very little in the way of economic infrastructure, roads, highways, legal systems, schools, fire departments, police departments. If you they seem to have a lack of that over there, and because of that, you know, they have a GDP around $500 or so per person or per capita, American dollars, of course, versus America, which has a per capita of around $56,000 per person on average. So it's because we have this robust and widespread economic infrastructure that allows people to be so fucking gainful, and some of these anti-taxer jokers don't want to pay back into that infrastructure to keep it from crumbling after they've benefited from using it. I mean, no one's forcing any one of these fuckers to fucking make an income, but they all sure love the benefits, but they don't want to help pay for its fucking upkeep, you know what I mean? So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that before I got to the second part of this, was that sense. I mean, you could think of it as, you know, like a bank robber thinking that they have the right and the freedom to go rob banks, and it doesn't matter if they do it in broad daylight or if they do it sneaking in the window at night or whatever. But then all of a sudden they get arrested. They're like, hey, I didn't agree to get arrested. I think I should be able to rob, should have the freedom to rob banks, to do that as much as I can. That's my God-given right. And I don't fucking believe in that law, and I didn't agree to be arrested. You know, it's very much like that, because if basically you're not paying money back into the tax-funded economic infrastructure, you're essentially stealing from that upkeep of the thing that allowed you to be so gainful in the first place. So these jokers think they can just trot out this, well, I didn't agree to it. Well, of course you're not going to agree with it. You're going to want to, you know, benefit from it, you know, after you chose to make a fucking income, but you're not going to pay back into it. Nah, no, you don't get to do that. If anyone disagrees, hey, just let me know in the comments section below. I love reading those kind of comments. Hadn't had too many so far yet, but it'll probably change soon. But anywho, I know I make a lot of these videos talking about this particular subject, and it seems to be that I'm really harping on the shit, and there's a good reason why I'm doing it, because the taxes is theft narrative really is economic poison. Not just because people think it'll cause social programs and the roads or whatever just to not be sustained financially, and they'll just crumble, turn to shit. But there's another reason too. Taxes, I made a video on this too, where taxes inherently increase the demand on money, because the government isn't going to take anything else as a payment for taxes. And because of that, it adds a real consequence to the paper dollar, even though it's fiat currency, but still, it adds a real consequence to it. Makes it real, or at least makes it real enough. And you to get rid of taxes, say all taxes is theft, then you just, or even most of them, or if you get rid of a bunch of them, you know, you're going to take away from a lot of that inherent increased demand, and you're going to hurt the value of the dollar, because people are going to be like, well, what's the fucking point of having this fucking money if it doesn't really count for shit? I mean, for example, in the Civil War, the South, they did something similar towards the end of the Civil War. They started taking in-kind payments, and then next thing you know, people were like, well, what's the point of having this fucking paper currency or these paper notes when I can just give the government chickens, shares, or whatever raw resources as payment? What's the fucking point? And the Confederate currency went to shit, and that was that. When I was thinking that was pretty much toward the end of the Civil War. One of the things that really helped along the collapse of the Confederate South, thank God. But yeah, I really harp on this shit because it really is a poisonous trickster narrative, and it's mostly to benefit those who are super rich, super wealthy, and just want to hoard their wealth and become the economic aristocracy, the kings and queens economically of their area, wherever they live, and to just push around the public in general with their vast sums of wealth. Because what is money? Money's power. Money's influence. And one of the other reasons we have taxes, especially wealth taxes, is to have, or at least to prevent the rise of the new economic aristocracy. It's a checks and balances. If you're going to benefit, you're going to choose the one to make a monetary gain and benefit from the tax-funded economic infrastructure, and you don't pay back into it, that is stealing from its upkeep. There's no getting around it. I understand some people want to live in a totally utopian fantasy land, and they want to call us lefties utopian, right? But they want to live in a utopian fantasy land where they make all this fucking money magically out of nowhere, and they don't want to pay back into the economic infrastructure that allowed them to be so gainful in the first place. But it's just, yeah. So whenever I hear these guys on the far right, and even some on the far left, talk about, well, I didn't agree to it. Like, dude, of course you're not going to agree with it, but you're going to like making money, aren't you? Well, yeah. Well, without that economic infrastructure in place, your ability to do so would be greatly more difficult. And of course, they're like, well, no. This shit they come up with is just precious. But all I like to do is try to annoy them and, try to attack each and every possible argument they try to have for that taxes is theft, because it's really important to do so. This last point. So important for us to do it because most of us understand. It's easy for most of us to understand that taxes are just a necessary part of still living in a civilized society that we have, that we enjoy. But since these people on the far right, or even some on the far left, some want to make their fucking arguments, we gotta challenge it. Because if it goes unchallenged, some people are going to see that as like, well, maybe they have a point. No one's able to challenge it, so we gotta challenge those fucking narratives. At least the best way we can. So if we do, great. But if not, we're just ceding ground to them to kind of, just let them have their fucking way without being challenged, and that's not good. Because some people will always be susceptible to that narrative. It's really fucking poisonous. It really is. It's really deceptive. And some people are going to buy into it because it sounds good. No one's really pushing back on it because most people think, well, it's a ridiculous position. But some people will buy into it. And I do it just to, push back on the fucking narrative. But anywho, I think I've rambled on long enough. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Really love hearing from everyone. So with that being said, I'll see you around.